Hey, many of the students that I coach on a daily basis, they swing too steeply. This just means that there's too much vertical aspect to their swing plane. This gets them in trouble a lot, not only with power, but in control of the direction and the club face. So right after this, let's figure out how to do a little bit of shedding of that verticality of your swing and get it more around you. I've got a really cool little trick and drill for you to do to kind of force you into the experience or the feeling of swinging more on plane. Stay tuned. Hey, this is Steve with HitItLonger.com. I continue my journey to hit the ball longer and straighter than I ever have before, and I hope to show you how to. All right, so I want you to do this little drill with me if you can. If you're in a space where you can grab a small club, maybe pause the video as we go if you have to. But what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna take a deep bow as my hamstrings, my tight hamstrings will allow me to do. Try to keep my back reasonably straight. So notice I'm not getting this, but I'm gonna try to bend at the hip to the largest amount of flexion I can, like this, and staying in balance like that. Okay, now all I want you to do, and a driver would even work good for this too if you wanted to try a driver, but of course the hands are gonna be really, really low down here. But now figure out how you can stay here and make a proper divot. Now, we'll look back at that again in slow-mo. You can see the swing I'm making is incredibly shallow. I've really taken most of the vertical out of this, and I'm swinging down here and around a very laid down Ferris wheel, you would say. So I'm a little bit closer to a merry-go-round here than I am to a Ferris wheel here. You can see how the angle of the body, of the torso, and how much bend that you can maintain, especially through the impact zone, that it almost naturally forces you to lay that Ferris wheel down and shed the excess verticality that you might have in your swing. So if you've been searching for how to get shallower and you've watched all these dozens of YouTube videos and how you're gonna do this with your elbow and lay it down, well, none of that is really necessary. A lot of the shallowness or the hand path getting less vertical is really gonna come from the increase in the bow, especially as you go through impact. So you look at somebody like a Hall of Famers like Trevino or Ben Hogan, and they don't start bent over so far. They start a little on the tall side, and then to reach the top of the swing, they kind of stick their butt out and increase as they go through it like that. So the backswing doesn't have to have the angle if you're not used to that, but certainly when you come through the ball, that's really the important part of the swing, is from here to here, that we've got to get that right. And so we've got to have simply a deeper bow and get the shoulders out over the toes more, with the rear end more behind us. And you can see how a ball like this, it's more of a experiment for feel, but you can see I'd have to change my my lie angles quite a bit. But if I'm going to swing and I'm going to control the depth of my divot, you see, no longer, if I were to try to swing too steeply from here, I'm going to stick the club in the ground way back here. So in my effort just to simply sweep, just like that, and just kind of make a sweepy divot, we're getting some swings. So way like this, and then just trying to, there's a good one. So I'm going to sweep the divot, and you can see the shape of the swing simply has to change. You see, a lot of people might have been telling you got to swing more around yourself like this, but if you're standing straight up and down, okay, a shallow hand path would look like this, if you're standing straight up and down, just right around your midsection both ways. And that's not a bad drill or a feeling to start with, but of course it's not going to work because the ball's on the ground. You'd need a baseball batting tee to stick the ball on for every club in your bag. You'd have to carry around a 24 or 30 inch batting tee just to make contact. So while this is a good idea to start from, now you've got to blend that idea in with more of this. And so what we see a lot of the time in a lot of my lessons that I teach, a lot of people are losing this hip flexion. They might be starting with plenty, but then one way or another, they're losing the angle right here. Now, as soon as you've lost that angle, your swing plane is going to have to conform to the angle that your body is sitting at. You have raised up, you've raised this end of the stick. You're going to have to, now, stand really tall and see how you have to swing in order to hit a divot. I can't go around and reach the divot. I have to now go, well, it's not even steep enough. I have to swing more like a Ferris wheel in order to just to strike the ground correctly with the right amount of depth. So your hand path and your swing plane are dictated quite a deal, great deal, by how much hip flexion and bow with the butt sticking behind you that you have through the impact zone. Now, of course, a good swing will fall in a range. It'll fall in a range about maybe through the shoulder as you come halfway down, like a Scotty Scheffler, and he's a little taller as he comes down into the ball. Or you might have somebody like Joaquin Niemann who's bowing quite a bit, or a Sergio Garcia, and they're bringing the club in more on the forearm line, halfway down. So anywhere between about the shoulder, just below the shoulder, and just above the forearm, these angles, that's about where we want to try to keep our plane, in between halfway down. And of course, we would love to make the halfway through match with the halfway back. That would tell you that you're on kind of a wheel, constant wheel that kind of lines up with the target. So let's see if I can hit one now with the feeling that I've got a little bit more bow, and we'll see if I can't take some of the vertical out and swing a little bit shallower here. So it feels a little bit odd to me taking some of the excess vertical out of my swing, but I need to get this thing more on that middle plane, somewhere between the shoulder and the forearm. I really like that thing right about here, just riding right above the right forearm as it comes in, and then exiting right about the elbow line on the follow through. I really like a swing that looks like that. So in your effort to shallow this thing out, give that drill a try. You don't even have to necessarily hit a golf ball. You might put it on a very small tee, because of course it's very hard to get your club when the toe is up in the air to go through the divot really smoothly. So you might tee it up a little bit if you're going to hit a golf ball, but try a few practice swings like that and see if that doesn't lead you to something that's going to help you. It's going to help you square the face up so much easier than a swing that's more vertical. It just, well, to you, it might even magically feel like it just wants to square itself up. And that's really fun when you can get someone who's been a lifelong slicer to swing a little more like this, and they start hitting a draw right off the bat. That's a really fun sensation, and I hope you get it too. So it's a great way to potentially cure a slice. All right, like and subscribe, comment down below if you like this drill, you have any questions about it. I'm Steve. Visit my website, hititlonger.com. And as usual, I'll either see you in the next video or I'll see you longer and straighter down the fairway. Everybody take good